Have you ever just stopped and thought about the sort of quiet magic in passing things down between generations? It's actually everywhere if you really look. Maybe a grandparent showing a child how to bake bread, that amazing smell filling the kitchen. Or like a seasoned engineer, maybe close to retirement, really taking a new grad under their wing, sharing all that hard-won experience. And sometimes it's flipped, right? With a teenager patiently guiding an elder through a new smartphone app, bridging that digital divide tap by tap. These moments, they seem simple, but they're so profound and they're woven through all cultures, all history. It's this continuous sharing of life, skills, perspective across the ages. But here's the thing, right? In a lot of modern societies, we've kind of drifted apart. Generations often live physically separate lives, or sometimes even if they're nearby, there's this emotional distance. We tend to push youth forward as the future, while elders, maybe unintentionally, get sort of relegated to the past. So what if our greatest untapped resource for resilience, for creativity, for genuine compassion, what if it actually lies in rekindling those connections?
Yeah.
What if, in this incredibly fast-changing world we're in, learning across generations isn't just some quaint nostalgic idea, but it's absolutely essential for a healthy, innovative, and truly kind society?
That really is the powerful question at the heart of this deep dive. And today, we're going to unpack exactly what happens when those bridges are, well, deliberately built. We're diving deep into two really compelling sources. First, there's an article, Intergenerational Wisdom, What We Gain When Young and Old Connect. It lays out the foundations, the broad benefits. Then we'll turn to a fascinating randomized controlled study from Cornell University, the benefits of intergenerational wisdom sharing. This study is particularly exciting because it rigorously tested how this wisdom sharing actually impacts young people. It takes us beyond just good intentions to clear, measurable impact. So we'll look at what both these sources tell us about truly connecting the ages and the surprising, tangible ripple effects it can have.
Okay, let's start with the basics maybe, but then let's quickly get into the more unexpected stuff. When we talk about intergenerational wisdom, what exactly are we referring to? The article we're exploring defines it as the passing of knowledge, values, traditions, and importantly, emotional skills between older and younger people. And it's not just formal, right? It happens naturally in families, schools, workplaces, communities, even just informal friendships.
Exactly. And when you dig into it, you see it takes so many forms. Think about storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
oral history, where experiences from totally different times suddenly come alive. It's also in transferring practical skills. I mean, everything from gardening and traditional crafts to maybe home repair. But here's where it gets really interesting, and our source highlights this. It's also about modern skills coming from youth. Kids teaching elders how to use new tech or sharing insights into social trends, even explaining new science. It really is a two-way street. Advice on relationships, work, navigating loss, finding meaning, it flows freely in both directions.
Okay, so if these connections are so beneficial, why have these generational gaps widened so much in modern societies? The article points to a few major culprits. One is simply mobility and urbanization. I mean, families are constantly moving for work or school, right? Often leaving grandparents or other elders physically far away, which just breaks those natural daily
Yeah,
interactions.
that physical distance is huge.
Then there's this pervasive issue of age-segregated institutions.
Yeah.
Our schools, our workplaces, even our neighborhoods, like retirement communities, they're often explicitly divided by age.
Right, which limits that organic mingling, those spontaneous conversations.
Exactly. And of course, you have the incredibly fast technology cycles playing a huge role.
Oh, definitely.
The rapid pace of change can make it harder for generations to relate. Young people might see elders as, quote, out of touch, while elders can feel genuinely lost sometimes in the digital world. It builds walls.
It does, and those perceptions are powerful.
And finally, cultural stereotypes certainly don't help. The media, often simplifying things, sometimes paints young people as entitled and elders as irrelevant.
Which, as our source reminds us, just unfairly misses the incredible richness both generations bring to the table. It's a real loss.
So if these critical connections have eroded, what exactly are we missing out on? What happens when we do manage to bridge that gap? The answers, as our first source highlights, are really profound. They impact both the young and the old, sometimes in surprising ways. For young people, okay, we often think of practical skills, but the article points to vital emotional benefits too. Elders provide crucial emotional support. They offer unique perspective, maybe unconditional love, reassurance, simply because they've lived through so much more.
That long view is invaluable.
Totally. They become incredible mentors, passing on wisdom about life, work, relationships, plus practical skills you just won't learn in a textbook.
Yeah.
And maybe most powerfully, hearing stories of overcoming adversity from older generations. That deeply fosters resilience, hope, and, grit in young people.
hmm Learning how others got through tough times.
Right. Plus, learning family or community history strengthens a young person's identity and their sense of belonging.
And it's definitely not just one-sided. For older adults, the benefits are equally profound. It often gives them a renewed sense of purpose. Teaching, guiding, caring for younger generations. It gives elders this vital sense of purpose and vitality. Keeps them engaged, feeling truly valued.
Yeah, that contribution matters.
Absolutely. And as we touched on, young people are invaluable in helping older adults by sharing knowledge of new skills, especially navigating technology and just modern life.
The tech tutoring thing, yeah.
Exactly. And this connection also dramatically contributes to reduced loneliness, which is a growing public health concern for older folks. It wards off isolation and depression. And for many, sharing their knowledge is a powerful way to leave a legacy, right? Contributing to something bigger than themselves, shaping the future through the wisdom they impart. It's that deep human need to guide the next generation, sometimes called generativity.
And when you zoom out from the individual, the benefits for society as a whole are truly immense. Intergenerational connections fundamentally bridge divides. Shared projects, friendships. They actively reduce ageism and build empathy across different groups.
That's so important right now.
It really is. And this mix of perspectives also sparks innovation. You get more creative, more holistic solutions to complex problems that maybe no single generation could solve alone.
Different viewpoints leading to better ideas.
Exactly. Ultimately, these stronger support networks build incredibly robust community resilience, benefiting everyone, especially in challenging times. And look, we're not just talking about abstract concepts here. This stuff is happening right now on the ground. The first source points to powerful, real-world examples already making a difference. Think of established mentoring programs like Big Brothers Big Sisters or foster grandparents.
Yeah, those are great examples.
There are also these amazing programs where schools are actually located inside elder care homes. You get preschools or after-school programs right there in retirement communities.
Wow, that's integration.
Isn't it? Many communities have thriving community gardens where young and old grow food, cook, share meals together. And a really common one, very effective, tech tutoring programs where teens teach seniors how to use smartphones, Zoom, social media, all that.
And what's really exciting is that beyond these heartwarming examples, we now have rigorous studies to truly quantify the impact. Which brings us neatly to our second source. That randomized controlled study on the Building a Community Legacy Together program, or BCLT. What makes this study so unique and powerful is that it moves beyond just, anecdotes or observation. They used a randomized controlled design. That's like the gold standard in research, like a scientific trial.
Right.
It means they could confidently say, yes, because of this specific program, we saw these measurable changes, not just, oh, this program seems nice.
That's a huge step, knowing it actually works.
It is a crucial step forward in understanding the real effects.
Okay, so what were the core components of this BCLT program? What made it so effective according to the study?
Well, the study details this really meticulously designed process. It started with comprehensive youth training. Participants weren't just sent in blind. They got specific training before any interviews. Covered things like interview and communication skills tailored for older adults, how to elicit deep wisdom, even handling potential obstacles. Then, after the interviews, they got more training on summarizing the data and preparing a community report.
So they learned analysis skills too.
Exactly. And this training also covered defining ageism, identifying stereotypes, and recognizing genuine elder wisdom. And a really crucial part of its success, I think, was the focus on developing the interview questions. The youth participants weren't just handed a list. They actually generated their own questions based on what they needed life advice on.
Oh, that's smart.
It really is. It directly addresses that challenge where young people might see older adults' knowledge as maybe outdated. The study calls it the generative mismatch. By letting youth define what they wanted to learn, the program ensured the advice they got felt incredibly relevant to their lives.
Yeah, makes total sense. Imagine asking an elder, have you ever been bullied? Or what advice do you have for dealing with tricky relationship challenges like mixed race or same-sex relationships?
Exactly. Real questions they were grappling with.
They also asked about stuff like handling problems with siblings or advice on being a good partner or parent. That tailoring must have made the wisdom received incredibly impactful. It spoke directly to their experiences.
Right. So after all this thorough preparation, the interviews with older adults took place. Youth conducted these hour-long individual interviews with older adults aged 65 and up. And crucially, the older adults were also prepared. They got an orientation and the list of questions in advance.
Ah, so they had time to reflect.
Exactly, giving them time to really think through and articulate their wisdom.
Okay, so after the interviews, there was this significant step, summarizing findings. Youth individually pulled out the main lessons, then worked together as a group to compile, prioritize, synthesize the key advice into broader themes.
So, like qualitative data analysis.
Pretty much. It actually taught them how to analyze information like that. And the program culminated in this really powerful community presentation, a public event. The youth shared the older participants' lessons with the wider community,
Wow.
which not only fostered these hugely positive images of elders as invaluable sources of wisdom, but it also powerfully reinforced the older adult sense of generativity. They saw their wisdom being shared and valued.
And so it felt amazing for them. So yeah, beyond just the wisdom itself, this program instilled practical, transferable skills in the youth. Interviewing, active listening, teamwork, even public speaking through that final presentation. But the real headline, from a research perspective, has to be the compelling quantitative results for the youth, thanks to that randomized controlled design. The study found statistically significant increases in several key areas.
Okay, like what?
Their perceived competency in interacting with older people went up. Their attitudes toward older people became more positive. Their interest in working with older people increased. And, maybe most notably, they showed an enhanced sense of purpose in life.
A sense of purpose. That's huge.
It really is. They noted self-esteem improved too, but it didn't quite reach statistical significance like the others. But those findings were incredibly robust. And beyond the numbers, the subjective evaluations from the youth, overwhelmingly positive. Get this, 97% found the program enjoyable.
Wow.
100% every single one felt the experience was useful.
Incredible.
Almost all, 97% believed it was useful to the older participants too. And 91% said they'd recommend the program to others.
That's a strong endorsement.
Absolutely. And when asked what was most beneficial, youth specifically cited things like gaining advice from someone who has actually lived through life and hearing their ideas about how to deal with challenges.
So what does this all mean for us, really? This study offers such a powerful illustration of how to effectively bridge that generative mismatch we talked about earlier. By empowering youth to design their own questions, the program made sure the advice hit home, that it was directly relevant to their needs.
It shifted the perception.
Completely.
Yeah.
From old knowledge is irrelevant to, wow, this wisdom directly applies to my life right now. It's like a blueprint for making these connections truly impactful. So let's draw back to our first source again and talk practicalities. How can you, listening right now, foster intergenerational wisdom in your own life? First, maybe start at home. Make regular family dinners or calls a priority. Actually share stories. Ask for advice.
Yeah, be intentional about it.
Cook family recipes together. Maybe
Yeah.
learn a craft, dive into genealogy projects. Then look for community initiatives. Join or maybe even start programs that bring generations together. Reading buddies at the library, tech help desks, joint music or art classes.
Lots of opportunities there.
Volunteer at places where both young and old are naturally present. Community gardens, libraries, places of worship. In the workplace, you could encourage mentorship. Companies can create cross-generational teams, pair seasoned pros with new hires.
And that reverse mentoring too.
Yeah,
Younger staff sharing digital expertise.
absolutely. For education innovation, schools can invite elders to speak or mentor, while students teach tech or social trends, intergenerational service projects built into the curriculum, and don't forget online connections. There are platforms now connecting people for mentorship, storytelling, shared interests, regardless of location.
And just a few quick tips from our sources to make these connections really meaningful.
Yeah.
First, be patient. Different speeds, communication styles, comfort zones. That's normal between generations.
Good point.
Ask open questions that encourage deeper thought, like, what was your biggest challenge at my age? Or, what's something you wish you knew sooner?
Remember to share vulnerability. It goes both ways. Both youth and elders have wisdom and struggles to offer.
Builds trust. Exactly. Celebrate milestones together, birthdays, anniversaries, achievements. And finally, embrace humor and play. Games, jokes, shared laughter. They're powerful connectors. Ultimately, why does this topic matter so much right now? Well, we have aging populations who need social connection to stay healthy and vibrant. Intergenerational programs are a key part of that puzzle. And at the same time, younger generations are navigating an increasingly uncertain, complex future. They desperately need resilience and guidance.
Yeah, and when you look at communities that really thrive, especially through tough times, pandemics, climate change, economic shifts, the strongest ones are consistently those that truly connect across generations. That cross-pollination of experience and new ideas, it's just invaluable.
So intergenerational wisdom isn't just about looking back with, nostalgia. It's a living bridge. It connects the past, the present, and the future, and it's constantly being built and strengthened through shared experience.
Every single time a story is told or a skill is shared or even just a laugh is exchanged between generations, we all become a little wiser, maybe a little kinder, and certainly more deeply connected.
So for you, listening, consider this a challenge. For the next week, maybe reach out. Connect with someone a generation older or younger than you are. Ask for or offer some help or advice. Could be tech support, could be asking for a family story, maybe a skill swap.
And then just take a moment to reflect afterwards. What did you learn? How did you feel? What surprised you about that connection? It might seem like a simple step, but your life and your whole community really will be richer for it.